The fluorescent lights of Apex Technologies buzzed overhead as Marcus Reed hunched over his workstation. At 32, with a master's degree from MIT and 5 patents to his name, Marcus was easily one of the most brilliant engineers in the building. Yet, for the third time this month, he watched as his white colleague, Trevor, received credit for an algorithm Marcus had developed. "Great work on the neural network optimization, Trevor," said Ron Kessler, the department head. Trevor nodded, avoiding Marcus's gaze. Marcus took a deep breath, counting silently to 10. This wasn't just about recognition. It was about the promotion he'd been passed over for twice, the meetings he wasn't invited to, the subtle ways his contributions were minimized. Each slight was like a paper cut, seemingly small, but accumulating into something that bled profusely. "Everything okay, Reed?" Ron asked, noticing Marcus's expression. "Fine, sir," Marcus replied, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Just fine." The digital clock on Marcus's dashboard read 9:47 p.m. as he finally pulled into the nearly empty company parking lot. He'd stayed late finishing the project deadline that everyone else had already gone home from. Dark clouds threatened rain as he gathered his laptop bag and locked his car. "Hey! You there! Stop right where you are," a harsh voice commanded. Marcus turned to see Floyd Mercer, the night security guard, approaching with his hand hovering near his holstered taser. The guard's face was twisted with suspicion. "ID badge." "Now," Floyd demanded, flashlight beam hitting Marcus directly in the eyes. "It's right here," Marcus said calmly, reaching slowly into his pocket and presenting his company credentials. "I work here. Engineering department, 5th floor." Floyd snatched the badge, examining it with exaggerated scrutiny. "What are you doing here so late? Nobody's supposed to be in the building now. Finishing a project deadline. You can call Ron Kessler if you need verification." "I've had reports of equipment going missing," Floyd stated, circling Marcus like a predator. "Mind if I check your bag?" Behind them, a car door slammed. Trevor walked past with his own laptop bag, nodding casually at Floyd. "Evening, Mr. Winters," Floyd said respectfully, completely ignoring the identical bag Trevor carried. "Working late tonight?" "Just like him," Trevor replied, pointing at Marcus before continuing toward his car without being stopped. Floyd reluctantly handed the badge back. "Don't let me catch you here after hours again without prior notice," he warned. The morning sun streamed through the blinds of Marcus's cubicle as he scrolled through the company's internal server. He wasn't supposed to have access to the HR database, but Trevor had left his computer unlocked during lunch last week, and Marcus had seized the opportunity to create a backdoor account. What had begun as a hunch was now revealing something far more sinister than individual bias. "What the hell?" Marcus whispered, eyes widening at the spreadsheet before him. The document was innocuously titled Resource Allocation Review, but its contents were anything but innocent. Column after column of employee names, sorted by race, with notes about retention risk and investment value. Beside each minority employee's name was a lower compensation figure compared to white colleagues with identical qualifications. His fingers trembled as he scrolled further. There it was, his own name, with a notation: high skill, flight risk, maintain at level 3 comp despite level 5 contribution. Marcus felt his chest tighten. This wasn't just about him. The company had a systematic approach to underpaying minority employees, squeezing maximum value while limiting advancement opportunities. Scrolling further, he discovered a folder labeled Security Protocols. Inside were directives to security personnel about heightened vigilance regarding certain employees, all of whom, Marcus noticed with growing anger, were black or Latino. Behind him, the elevator dinged. Marcus quickly closed the files and cleared the browser history. He needed evidence, but he had to be smart about this. Taking out his phone, he snapped discrete photos of the screen, making sure to capture the damning headers and his own name. "They've been playing a rigged game all along," he muttered, pocketing his phone as footsteps approached. But now I know the rules. The downtown cafe buzzed with lunchtime chatter as Marcus spotted Zara Washington at a corner table. He recognized her from the IT department, though they'd rarely spoken. According to the spreadsheet, she was marked as aggressive when questioned about performance, with a note to limit client exposure. "Thanks for meeting me," Marcus said, sliding into the seat across from her. "I wasn't sure you'd come." Zara's dark eyes studied him cautiously. "Your message said it was urgent." "About Apex." She stirred her coffee nervously. "Look, I need this job." "If this is about the diversity committee, it's bigger than that," Marcus interrupted, voice low. He slid his phone across the table. "Take a look." Zara's expression shifted from skepticism to shock as she swiped through the photos. "They've been tracking us? By race?" Her hands trembled slightly. "I knew something was off when Parker got promoted over me despite my numbers being better, but this. They've been doing it systematically," Marcus explained. "To all of us. The security harassment, the pay gaps, the promotion denials. It's all documented." "We need to go public," Zara said, her voice hardening with resolve. Marcus shook his head. "Not yet. We need more evidence, something they can't sweep under the rug." He leaned forward. "And I think I know where to find it." "I'm listening," Zara said, pushing her coffee aside. "What's the plan?" For 3 nights straight, Marcus and Zara remained at the office long after everyone had left. With Zara's IT expertise, they navigated deeper into Apex's secure servers, uncovering years of discriminatory practices. They found altered performance reviews, manipulated promotion criteria, and explicit emails between executives about managing diversity expectations. "Look at this," Zara whispered on the 3rd night, pointing to an email from CEO Hartman. He specifically instructed HR to create advancement barriers for employees from non-traditional backgrounds. "That's their code for us." Marcus downloaded the files onto an encrypted drive. "This should be enough to." The office door swung open. Floyd Mercer stood there with Ron Kessler. "Accessing restricted servers after hours," Ron said coldly. "That's grounds for immediate termination." "We know what you're doing," Marcus replied, slipping the drive into his pocket. "And we have proof." Ron's face darkened. "I'd be careful with accusations, Reed. Things happen to people who can't play by the rules. Car accidents. Break-ins." He smiled thinly. "Floyd here has friends on the police force who understand business priorities." "Are you threatening us?" Zara demanded. "I'm explaining reality," Ron replied. "Whatever you think you found, it won't matter. Nobody will believe you. Now hand over that drive, or you'll regret it." Marcus and Zara exchanged glances, the weight of the moment hanging between them. "This meeting isn't on my calendar," Hartman said icily, not bothering to stand as Marcus and Zara entered his corner office the next morning. The CEO's silver hair and tailored suit projected authority and disdain in equal measure. "What we need to discuss couldn't wait," Marcus replied, placing a manila folder on the polished desk. Hartman didn't touch it. "Security informed me about your after-hours activities. I could have you arrested." "You could," Zara said, stepping forward. "But then these documents would go straight to the Federal Equal Employment Commission and the press." Hartman opened the folder, his face paling as he scanned its contents. "We have copies," Marcus added. "Many copies. In safe places." "What do you want?" Hartman asked, voice hard as flint. "Justice," Marcus answered. "Starting with equal pay, fair promotion practices, and the termination of Ron Kessler and Floyd Mercer." Hartman's laugh was brittle. "You two are nobody. You really think you can win against me?" "Breaking news tonight," announced Vanessa Chen of Channel 7 News. Exclusive documents obtained by our investigative team reveal systematic discrimination at tech giant Apex Technologies. The segment aired footage of Marcus and Zara outside the Apex headquarters, their faces composed despite the cameras. "We just want fair treatment," Marcus stated calmly. "The evidence speaks for itself." By morning, #Apex Discrimination trended nationwide. The company's stock plummeted 12 points. Rival tech firms issued statements distancing themselves from similar practices. Marcus's phone rang constantly with calls from former Apex employees coming forward with their own stories. Outside company headquarters, protesters gathered with signs demanding accountability. "They never thought we'd fight back," Zara told Marcus as they watched the crowd grow. But they were wrong. The Apex Technologies boardroom reeked of tension and expensive cologne. 12 board members sat around the mahogany table, their expressions ranging from concern to outright hostility. At the head, Gerald Hartman maintained a facade of calm, though the vein pulsing at his temple betrayed his rage. "This emergency meeting will come to order," announced Diane Powell, the board chairwoman. "In light of recent developments, we need to address the allegations against this company." Marcus and Zara stood at the far end of the table, uninvited but unmovable. Outside, through the floor-to-ceiling windows, they could see protesters filling the plaza below. "These troublemakers have violated company policy and stolen proprietary information," Hartman began, pointing an accusing finger. "They should be prosecuted, not given a platform." "What we've done," Marcus countered, his voice steadied despite his racing heart, "is expose the truth. A truth documented in your own words, Mr. Hartman." Zara stepped forward, distributing copies of their evidence to each board member. Page 3 contains the systematic pay disparity data. Page 7 shows explicit instructions to security to target minority employees for heightened scrutiny. The boardroom fell silent as members flipped through the documents. Diane Powell removed her glasses, her face ashen. "Gerald, did you authorize this?" she demanded. "It's taken out of context," Hartman sputtered. "Business decisions that violated federal law," interrupted Javier Rodriguez, the newest board member. "I've seen enough. This company faces potential class action lawsuits, federal investigations, and irreparable brand damage. The choice is simple," Marcus declared, meeting each board member's gaze. "You can stand with discrimination and watch this company burn, or you can stand for justice and begin to make this right." The room erupted in heated debate as the board fractured before their eyes. 6 months later, Marcus stepped onto the stage of Apex Technologies' newly renovated auditorium. The audience, a sea of faces from every background, erupted in applause as he approached the podium. "Today marks not an ending, but a beginning," Marcus announced, his voice carrying through the packed room. Behind him, a banner read, "Equity and Innovation Initiative." "When Zara and I uncovered the discrimination at this company, we weren't just fighting for ourselves. We were fighting for every person who's ever been told they don't belong." In the front row, Zara nodded, now Director of Inclusive Technology. Beside her sat Diane Powell, who had led the board revolt that ousted Gerald Hartman and installed new leadership committed to transformation. "The changes we've implemented aren't just about equal pay, though that matters," Marcus continued. "They're about creating a culture where everyone's contributions are valued. Where security protocols protect all employees equally. Where promotion is based on merit, not appearance." Outside, construction crews were completing the new community tech center in a historically black neighborhood, funded by the settlement from the class action lawsuit. "The road ahead isn't easy," Marcus acknowledged. "Changing systems never is. But when we stand together against injustice, even mountains can be moved." The applause was deafening as Marcus raised his hand, pointing toward the future they were building together. "From blood on the pavement," he declared, "to fire in our hearts. This is just the beginning."